Salutations, entertainment lovers of the world. We've got a fantastic lineup for our episode today, with Angelo Amiero giving a top 5, Logan Sawash with a music minute, and so much more.
We hope you fully recovered from your post-Thanksgiving turkey and stuffing haze, because from Ball State University, The Real Deal starts now.
Hello and welcome to The Real Deal, Ball State's one and only entertainment news show. I'm Aiden Hall.
And I'm Tina Merrick. We at The Real Deal report with heavy hearts that, unfortunately, the Thanksgiving season is officially over.
While we may not get back to the holly jollies of cranberry sauce and pumpkin pie for a whole year, we now set our laser-level focus squarely straight towards Christmas.
Here to provide some Hollywood headlines to hold us over in the holiday interim is our very own Max Lewis. Max?
Hello and welcome to this week's Hollywood Headlines. Speaking of hellos, Adele said hello to some record-breaking numbers over the past week. Her album 25 sold 3.38 million copies in its first week after being released. According to Billboard, 25 is the first album to sell more than 3 million copies in its first week of release since they began tracking back in 1991. Even though it's likely more albums in the past were able to pass those numbers, that's still a huge accomplishment. The previous record was held by NSYNC, whose 2000 album, No Strings Attached, sold 2.4 million copies in its first week. I'll suppose they'll have to say bye to that record. 25 has also become the best-selling album of the year, flying past the 1.8 million copies sold of Taylor Swift's 1989. The album's first single, Hello, had the biggest sales week in 15 years after it was released last month and has stayed at the top of the charts since then. Adele truly is here to stay, and she's more than likely making an insane amount of money along the way. With the January 31st telecast of Grease Live quickly approaching, Fox has released an exclusive first trailer featuring a look at stars Julianne Hough as Sandy, Aaron Tveit as Danny Zuko, and Vanessa Hudgens as Betty Rizzo. Hough, Tveit, and Hudgens headline a star-studded cast that includes Carly Rae Jepsen as Frenchie, current Dancing with the Stars contender Carlos Penavega as Kaniki, and Keke Palmer as Marty. The trailer features the cast hand-jiving and hamming it up in character, which is enough to get any Grease fan excited. The costumes seem faithful to many portrayals of these characters that have been prevalent in pop culture. In addition to the seemingly stellar cast, there will be an additional treat at the top of the live telecast. Jessie J will open the show with a special arrangement of Grease is the Word. Grease Live will air January 31st on Fox. And finally, Thanksgiving weekend's batch of wide releases, which included the Rocky successor Creed, the latest Pixar joint The Good Dinosaur, and the weird fantasy sci-fi of Victor Frankenstein, wasn't enough to take down the monolith that is the Hunger Games franchise, as Mockingjay Part 2 firmly led the Thanksgiving weekend box office. The fourth installment of the franchise raked in over $51.6 million over the Thanksgiving weekend for a 5-day total of $75.8 million. Mockingjay Part 2 also brought in $62 million internationally over the 3-day weekend, bringing its global total up to $440.7 million. To date, the entire Hunger Games franchise has grossed $2.7 billion worldwide. Not bad for the cruelest, most brutal stretch of young adult films on the block since the last few Harry Potter movies. I guess we have Katniss Everdeen herself to thank for the film's massive success. I also suppose the odds were always in the franchise's favor. This has been Max Lewis with your Hollywood Headlines.
Thanks for that, Max, especially for telling us more about the Grease Livecast.
It's sure to remind certain audiences about the olden days.
Another culturally touching point that has the capacity to do that is vinyl records, which are all the rage amongst the hip and the old.
However, some aren't happy with certain industry trends.
Here to rant about his complaints about the vinyl industry is Brandon Kokotsky. Brandon?
As many of you know, this past weekend saw Black Friday, the classic day in which many Americans indulge in their worst, most gladiatorial tendencies. While traditional big box retailers saw the biggest sales, the vinyl industry saw a huge outpour of new pressings thanks to the Record Store Day imprint that has been so prominent the past few years. Now, when I first heard about this deal, when it first happened a few years ago, I thought it was pretty neat. And it had brought about some pretty cool pressings. I mean, I'll always cherish my milk white DRI live at CBGB's forever. However, I soon realized that this holiday was systematic of a larger, more sinister force acting upon a subculture I love, the corporatization of vinyl. Indeed, large businesses have increasingly gotten their meaty hooves into the record business, and it does immeasurable amounts of harm to the true faithfuls and independent music producers. Now, first things first, corporate vinyl slows down the production of records of so many independent artists. There are very few major pressing plants across the country. Therefore, the vinyl output of our nation is a little limited. That's why it's so frustrating when corporations get their hands into this. When they make these massive orders to the plants to distribute everywhere, they don't let smaller independent groups get their orders in when they want to. I mean, Lana Del Rey is the literal reason that we don't get represses of The Monitor by Titus Andronicus all too often. This sucks not only for the independent music and vinyl faithful, but the artists themselves. They rely on selling records to be a huge portion of the money they make and to spread their art. And Halsey is the reason that they cannot have that. It's so frustrating for so many people. Now, in addition to that, they make vinyl that is not of a music medium, but a piece of pure marketing. Now, I adore the medium of vinyl records. I've been growing my collection for several years, and I dedicate a huge amount of my time and money to it. Corporations want you to see vinyl as a status symbol. If you own a record, you're cool and you're interesting. When in reality, if you buy it just for this vague aesthetic, you're exactly the opposite. Because the major corporate record industry never actually cares about fidelity and quality, people don't know any better and are being thrown garbage quality pressings and record players that actually destroy records. The same goes to the artists that are thrown into the corporate vinyl umbrella. They usually just ride on an indie aesthetic and a fake deepness to peddle to the masses who don't know any better. There's truly nothing lamer on this earth than listening to Halsey on your freaking Crosley with all of your lame, uninteresting friends in your lame, uninteresting neighborhood while you pass around your lame, uninteresting vape with an orange flavor pack, talking about how your lame parents don't get you and how you're all the new Americana or something. Here's the thing. Corporatization of subcultures has been happening since someone discovered that hippie patterns look pretty cute, or that white people can be totally not racist by putting on some Afrocentric clothing or hairstyles. Vinyl's just another casualty of this, and it sucks. This is a medium I adore, that I care about so deeply. But corporations are slowly taking a very legit medium of collection and music experience and making it a boring aesthetic slowly so they can make a quick buck. I'm just praying Lana Del Rey and all of her compatriots of boring are slowly disappearing like the fad they are, and the vinyl community can finally rest peacefully and not be held at gunpoint to a record that costs $30 damn. Until next time, I'm Brandon Krakowski.
Thank you, Brandon. Sounds like you're pretty passionate about that topic.
Fortunately, we have a whole show full of super passionate people, with Angelo Armiera giving a rant, Holly Barnhart with a review, and a whole lot more. Stay tuned.
If I'm David, I'm gonna get one chance for a kill shot right between his eyes.
Je hätte in the uterus, Don.
I am so sorry, Carol.
Don, church attendance has been on a massive decline.
Satan can get you to start your day off wrong, and he's gonna do it through breakfast.
Put the van in your drive?
Just till you sort yourself out.
Merry Christmas! Shut the door!
They're high or having a stroke. Kind of brilliant.
Fraud has never ever worked. Eventually, things go south. When the hell did we forget all that?
Someone to front and someone to muscle. Salud, come to Philadelphia. Is she a nice girl? We'll get her for you. I prefer boys.
Italians. Sometimes great, but I am not prejudiced.
You got some balls to admit that, kid.
Promise me to come back.
Promise.
Welcome back to the program. Apart from the prospect of another Real Deal episode, there's nothing more enticing than a well-put-together trailer.
Here to review some recent enticements is Michael Mathis. Michael?
Hey there everyone, it's Michael Mathis and I'm here to give you all the trailers that caught my eye and coming to a theater near you. This is your Trailer Watch. The first trailer I would like to discuss is Joy. Joy is the wild story of a family across 4 generations centered on the girl who becomes the woman who founds a business dynasty and becomes a matriarch in her own right. Betrayal, treachery, the loss of innocence, and the scars of love paved the road in this intense, emotional, and human comedy about becoming a true boss of family and enterprise of an unforgiving, or facing a world of unforgiving commerce. Allies become adversaries, and adversaries become allies, both inside and outside the family, as Joy's inner life and fierce imagination carry her through the storm she faces. Jennifer Lawrence stars with Robert De Niro and Bradley Cooper. If this film is anything like David Russell's previous films, Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle, I'm sure it's going to be a hit. Joy will be coming to a theater on Christmas Day. The second film that caught my eye is the ridiculously good-looking trailer for Zoolander 2. The trailer shows what happens when the world's most beautiful people are assassinated with a formerly famous male model, Derek Zoolander's iconic blue steel look on their face. Interpol recruits Derek and his friend Hansel McDonald to infiltrate a new and different world in high fashion in order to put a stop to it. Meanwhile, Derek's rival Mugatu is set free for his revenge. Paramount Pictures also announced that the Zoolander 2 trailer has broken the record to become the most successful comedy trailer launch of all time. The trailer, which debuted online November 18th, reached 52.2 million views in its first week of release. I honestly can't wait to see the famous blue steel hit the big screens on February 12th, 2016. The final trailer I came across was out of left field. The movie is called Demolition. Davis, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, a successful investment banker, struggles after losing his wife in a tragic car crash. Despite pressure from his father-in-law to pull it together, Davis continues to unravel. What starts as a complaint letter to a vending machine company turns into a series of letters revealing startling personal admissions. Davis' letters catch the attention of customer service and rep and amidst emotional financial burdens of their own. The two form an unlikely connection. With the help of Karen and her son Chris, Davis starts to rebuild, beginning with the demolition of the life he once knew. The film opened up for a 2015 Toronto International Film Festival and received mixed reviews. Even though it got mixed reviews, Fox decided to open the movie nationwide on April 8, 2016. I have a feeling that this film will surprise many people, and I can't wait to see it. I'm Michael Mathis, and this has been your Trailer Watch.
Thanks for that, Michael. Sounds like there's a lot for people to be looking forward to.
I don't know. Many were looking forward to The Good Dinosaur, and it was apparently pretty meh.
True. Though Pixar has launched a production company, they aren't immune to clunkers.
Here to run us through his bottom 5 Pixar films is Angelo Armiera. Angelo?
To capitalize on the holiday market, Pixar released The Good Dinosaur last week, and rather than rock the world like the company's many other films, this one instead teeter-tottered on most people's minds, including my own. In fact, after leaving the theater following my viewing of The Good Dinosaur, I felt very conflicted. Did I really feel a sense of uncertainty from a movie by Pixar? The same company that had made me sob only months back by Inside Out? The same company that had created such heartfelt classics like The Incredibles, Monsters, Inc., and the Toy Story series? And being the pessimist I am, this sparked a light bulb over my head that no creator is perfect. Let me remind you that the mind behind Empire Strikes Back also made The Phantom Menace. So, looking back, I decided, why not go through and see which 5 products from the brilliant minds of Pixar are the worst of the lot. Number 5, the one of most high relevance, The Good Dinosaur. Although definitely cuter and more creative than some of Pixar's other films, The Good Dinosaur falls flat primarily due to its predictability. Over the years, the company, along with Disney, has a very specific formula of how each story is probably going to go. And therefore, the greatest films of the lot are the ones that go outside of the formula and are unique and compelling in their own rights. The Good Dinosaur, however, is very stereotypical, and you can clearly see the inspirations from its fellow movies. The quirky relationship of Finding Nemo, the scary creatures becoming warm-hearted like Monsters, Inc. We've seen all of these before, and for that reason, it lacks the ability to be special and unique on its own. Number 4, Monsters University. I will admit to holding Sully and Mike close to my heart, though this retreading of themes from the first film and a lesser amount of humor and wit simply make this film a disappointment in comparison. While the film's place on this list may have something to do with the enormous shadow of its predecessor, we can't forget how films like Toy Story had managed to get better with every installment. So that's not a worthy excuse. Number 3, Brave. While it's awesome to finally see a Pixar film with a strong female protagonist, especially one as well-rounded and charismatic as Merida, it seems that the change in lead character was really the only thing the company did differently this time around. And unfortunately, that isn't enough to make this a compelling story. Pixar is a company that is so good at making films that hits parents and children equally hard, though Brave in particular seems to merely be a good enough children's movie, earning its spot on this list. Number 2, Cars. Not much to really say about this one. Truly no film on this list is bad. I mean, Pixar has an excellent track record, though this one is definitely the one that just doesn't hold a candle compared to its fellow movies. It's too over the top, it slaps you in the face with its humor, and overall just isn't memorable. Which serves as a perfect example for number 1, Cars 2. Why did this movie get made? Why is it getting a sequel? The worst Pixar film ever made isn't torture to sit through, but it definitely takes every previously made mistake by the company and throws it all together for a film that left most scratching their heads after they left the theater. Lightning McQueen and Mater aren't Buzz and Woody or Mr. and Mrs. Incredible. This story isn't one that people feel the need to keep going back to. And for the darling of the cinematic industry, Pixar should have known that enough was enough as soon as the first film's credits rolled. So there you have it. Pixar is a brilliant and groundbreaking company, but nobody's perfect. Those 5 movies may have not been the prime examples of their craft, though complimenting their other works would take twice as long. Keep doing what you're doing, Pixar, except if it involves cars. That's your top 5 for this week. I'm Angelo Oriema.
Thank you, Angelo. I was ready to leap across the desk if up was brought up in this conversation. The camera wasn't recording me, but rest assured I was ready to pounce.
We're going to take a break to assure that Aiden has fully calmed down. Stick around. We have Holly Barnhart with a review of a recent blockbuster and Logan Sowash with a music minute. Stay tuned.
What were you doing there?
I was taking some overdue holiday.
So what's going on, James? They say you're finished.
What do you think?
I think you're just getting started.
I've been fighting my whole life. It's not a choice for me. Every punch I ever thrown has been on my own. Nobody showed me how to do this. I'm ready.
We heard something on the roof.
The hell's this?
St. Nicholas is not coming this year.
Snow has to pay for what he's done.
One way or another, this war is going to come to an end. There's only one thing you could do now to add more fire to this rebellion.
Welcome back. As many of you know, a hit young adult franchise has Wingardium Leviosa itself into theaters.
That's Harry Potter, Aiden.
There's been a franchise that's been divergent in how much money it's made.
I mean, that's closer.
It's run through the maze to success.
You're not about to land on it anytime soon. Anyway, here to give a review of the latest entry of the Hunger Games saga is Holly Barnhart. Holly?
The heavily anticipated finale of the Hunger Games franchise, Mockingjay Part 2, was released in theaters over this Thanksgiving break, but it only earned around $100 million in its opening weekend. This is by no means bad news financially, but this total makes the final Hunger Games film the lowest opening weekend out of the entire franchise, despite opening in the most theaters out of all 4 films. This is most likely the result of a lackluster response from fans who didn't like the ending of the final book, or from those who were disappointed with Part 1. Nevertheless, this final installment was the best way the creators could have ended the Hunger Games movie franchise, in my opinion. This movie had its ups and downs, there's no denying that. I'm still not a huge fan of splitting up the final book of any series into 2 parts, and Mockingjay is my least favorite book in the series, so I did have some doubts going in. However, I do want to give the cast and crew so much credit for making these last two films the best that they possibly could. And the reason they pulled it off, both movies, was because they did what they have done the entire series. They stayed true to the source material. Never once did they falter or shift from the storyline. They cut out the little things that they needed to cut, but everything else from the book was kept in, even that awful epilogue. As a reader and fan of the series, I can't ask for anything more. There's nothing better than when a film gets everything right and stays accurate to what is said in the books. This is where I give credit to the idea that Mockingjay needed to be split up. While the book isn't necessarily long, there's a lot of exposition and action packed into around 400 pages. And if the creators wanted to fit everything essential to the final book, it needed to be split into two movies. It allowed them to elongate fast and emotional scenes so that the audience could process what had just happened, as opposed to the books where it just moves on suddenly. As a moviegoer, I like the change of pace between intense action and emotional reflection, especially after all the deaths. Oh, the deaths. However, while the film did have all the structure and script that it needed to have, there was still a feeling that the story was lacking just a little bit. It's hard to describe, but I didn't feel that there was much heart into this film, even compared to Mockingjay Part 1. This could be because the cast was still mourning the death of Philip Seymour Hoffman while they were filming, so I can totally understand how that can relate to their work. Still, I never felt the sense of urgency that occurs at the end of this book from the actors. Even the amazing Jennifer Lawrence failed to pick this film up in the way it needed. The only genuine emotion that I felt from her was near the end when things were coming to a close and she was processing all the deaths with us. Under normal circumstances, this would follow Katniss's more emotionally stoic character, but in the final book, she's a total mess. And I didn't necessarily get that in the final installment. And honestly, I think her lack of energy probably affected the rest of the cast, each of whom fell just short of their respective characters' potentials. Overall, Mockingjay Part 2 was okay by industry standards, but it wasn't what we would normally call a movie finale material. The effects were average, the acting was just subpar, especially in comparison to what these actors are truly capable of, and the film just felt put together instead of created. Its true purpose was to serve as fan service, and while it pulled that off, there still seemed to be something missing. Again, I put most of the blame on the awkwardly written final novel of the Hunger Games series. All in all, director Francis Lawrence and the rest of the cast and crew did the best they could have done with unimpressive content. Go see it if you haven't already. I give it 3.5 stars.
Thank you, Holly. Sounds like the game that many fans have gone through waiting for this movie won't end in hunger.
It will, however, end in lots and lots of dead fictional teenagers.
On a happier note, the music industry, as usual, just keeps on providing us with thrilling developments.
Here to give us a music minute on what's been going on is Logan Sawash. Logan?
Thanks, guys. First up, U2 frontman Bono is launching an all-star campaign tied to his organization RED, which raises funds to fight AIDS. Billboard reports the campaign features once-in-a-lifetime experiences that can be won after donating at least $10. The campaign kicks off Tuesday, coinciding with World AIDS Day. Jimmy Kimmel is dedicating his late-night show this evening to the campaign. The special episode will feature celebrity guests like Tom Brady and Shaquille O'Neal. Brady is offering one donor a chance to learn how to pass a football, and O'Neal will take a photo with a winner for his or her 2016 holiday card. Other celebrities are participating in the campaign as well, like Kim Kardashian, James Franco, and Matthew McConaughey. Donations can be made on amaze.com/red, and entries close on January 21st. Next, South Korean rapper Psy is set to release his first album since becoming an international sensation more than 3 years ago with the smash hit Gangnam Style. At a news conference in Seoul on Monday, he said, "There are many thoughts going around in my head, including thoughts like if I write like this, it will not be as good as Gangnam Style, and if I write like this, the international audience will not understand. So it took me a very long time to organize all those thoughts into one." Billboard reports the new album's title translates to "This is Psy's 7th album." It includes songs of various genres like dance, hip-hop, and punk. Psy said he tried to incorporate many emotions into this album just as he's done with ones from the past, touching on happiness, anger, sadness, joy, love, hatred, and greed. He said, "This is an album that retains my continued desire as a lyric writer who wants to try things other than love songs in a movie-like way." And lastly, the music video for Coldplay's new single, Adventure of a Lifetime, has adopted an interesting theme. The animated clip, directed by Matt Whitecross, follows a group of chimpanzees that come across a Beats Pill speaker under a pile of leaves. Soon after, the primates discover the power of music and form a band that resembles members of Coldplay. Billboard reports the concept for the video came about after Coldplay frontman Chris Martin and motion capture expert Andy Serkis, who worked on Lord of the Rings and King Kong, met on a plane and discussed ideas. The video took about 6 months to make. Adventure of a Lifetime is the first single from Coldplay's upcoming 7th album, A Head Full of Dreams, which is scheduled for release on December 4th. That's it for Music Minute. I'm Logan Sowash.
Thanks, Logan. It sounds like you too, audiences at home, will be able to help Bono with his noble cause.
Stay tuned for our final word.
For my final word, I wanted to talk about a lesser-known program that has flown under a lot of people's radars. For over 10 years, The Real Deal has been Ball State's premier source of television and film news. It has been a stepping stone for its members. It's built skills, leaders, and on-air talent and friendships that slowly become unforgettable. For 4 seasons, I've had the honor of being a part of this great show in some facet, and seeing it grow, seeing it take a new stage, elevating past where it was and having no idea where it's going to go. This show has accomplished great things and has created great people. So to you, the viewers that make it all possible, that encourage us in front of and behind the camera every day, to the people that are watching the start of so many great careers, thank you. Thank you for watching where talent is grown and where everyone is the real deal.
Of course, none of this would be possible without every single member of our crew. The people working in the control room as we speak, our segment producers, our pre- and post-production crew, our website crew, our podcast crew, our promotions crew. Everything adds up to this incredible product that we are all so lucky to have every week. Sometimes working on this show can be difficult for many with deadlines, technical difficulties, and our busy schedules working their way to add stress and chaos into our lives. However, we are all reminded every day by each other's smiling faces that coming here is eternally worth it. It truly is the real deal.
And that wraps up the show for this week. Be sure to check out our website, Facebook, and Twitter pages for news and updates on all things entertainment. I'm Aiden Hall.
And I'm Tina Merrick. We'll see you next time.